Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS International English Language Testing System class. My name is Adrian and I am streaming to you live from Central Europe according to Central European Standard Time. High satisfying times, Dr. Mazin, Nima Atullah, Lovepreet, good to see many people. Bayern München joining in. IELTS Speaking Part 2 is the focus for today's class, and the materials strategies are sponsored and supported by aehelp.com for academic IELTS help. Check us out there. Join our premium course where you can get lots of goodies, including 6 original practice exams, a fully interactive course, and over 100 hours of video lessons. gieltshelp.com. Same idea, but focused on the general version of the exam. Satisfying times, I'm doing fantastic today. Thank you for asking. This is our academic website here. Click that big red button to join it. You'll get this checkout form. You can see all of our successful students. We have thousands of successful students around the world. We're very proud of that. This is our general IELTS website. Click that red button there. Spend a couple dollars. Do yourself a favor. Get lots of help. All right, everyone. Let's get into it a little bit. If you haven't seen it, we do have a new speaking interview video with a candidate from India on the channel. That's in HD. Check that out. If you have questions about the exam or our products, send me an email, Adrian, A-D-R-I-A-N, at aehelp.com. Marvell Gaming got 5.5. Keep up the studies, Marvell. I bet you'll get past that and go even higher. All right, this is our last class for this week. Worry not, we will be back Wednesday with more classes at the same time. Hi Zainab, hi Roshni, Preeti, and Amarjeet. Good to see many of our members joining in this class as well. Let's get to speaking part 2. Here we go. So the IELTS speaking section, just a quick overview. It has 3 parts. It takes about 15 minutes. It's a face-to-face interview. Worry not. The sun will shine tomorrow. Be confident. Practice part 2 because it is unique. It's not a typical kind of conversation speaking. You have 1 minute to think about your answers. You can write down some notes. And then you have 2 minutes to speak. You have to speak for 2 minutes. It's very important to show good fluency and a breadth of knowledge about English and your use of critical thinking. Speaking part 2. This is a speaking class, so students, as much as possible, repeat after me. Say the words I say, okay, as much as you can. All right. Thank you for the compliment, Chandni Beej. I appreciate that. All right, so speak, students. Repeat me. Repeat what I say. Use the words that I use. I use West Coast North American English. I am raised in Victoria, West Coast Canada, British Columbia. So I use the same English that you will hear all along up and down the West Coast, Seattle, Los Angeles, San Diego, even going north towards Yukon and Alaska. We West Coasters have a similar style of speaking. It's very clear and crisp. Okay, so here we go. Speaking part 2. Think of a time when you had to arrive early. Where did this happen? When was it? What is the reason you needed to be early? What did you do during the waiting time? You will have 1 minute to plan your response, and you will have 2 minutes to speak. Boom, off to the races you go. The examiner says your 1 minute preparation time begins now. Turn over the card. You see the card. You read the questions. And the first thing that you do is you recognize that you are talking about what? What are you talking about in this case? Generally, what are you talking about? Remember, IELTS speaking part 2 is going to be, so part 2 is either a person, place, object, or an idea, or an occasion or an event. That's right, Lovepreet. That's right, Dr. Mazin. Yeah. Occasion or event. This is an event. And when you talk about an event, what do you have to think about in order to be a clear communicator? So regardless of the question, if I want to tell another person about an event, an occasion, what elements should I have to include? So what elements do I need to remember? Time of the event? Yes, absolutely. So time. And notice that's in the question, right? When was it? So if you think about these key elements, you will think about the questions on the card. So you're talking about an event, you're thinking time. Samil Sampla says, who was with you or who was there? Yeah, attendees. Right, the people, okay, at the event. Sure. Gunkai Ren, nope, don't get lost with who, where, when, who, and so on. Yep. Location is important, satisfying times, absolutely. Location or venue. Yeah. What was the event? Sure. You mean the reason for the event? Okay, what was it, right? So what was the purpose of the event? I think is an even clearer way to say it. The purpose. Was it a birthday? Was it a celebration? The purpose. And one that a lot of people seem to kind of put into the background, but it's the main event. It's the most important of all of these is what? I don't see the word yet. It starts with an A. Students, you have to think about this word when you're thinking of an event. You have to think about this word. It's the most important one. So of all of these elements, the most important one is this one. It starts with an A. Not actor, not appearance. Action is okay, Hung. You're close. But still nobody has given me the correct word. It's not action. Nah. There we go, Hung. You got that from that tip. Close. Very good. Now a few people. Rufette. Absolutely. Even better is plural. Activities. All right. What was going on at the event? If it's a wedding, fantastic. But what were you doing? Dancing, singing, eating, playing games. What were you doing? Giving a toast? What happened? Okay. Focus in. When you're talking about an event, we're talking about activities, okay? Activities. Keep that in mind. All right. So, in my 1 minute, this only took me 3 seconds. Okay, I'm going to break this down so that you know the timing here. Okay, so reading the card took me 10 seconds. 10 seconds, okay? Shouldn't be spending more than 10 seconds to read the card, clearly. So, let's break this into your 1 minute preparation time. Okay, so 1 minute preparation time. In 10 seconds, I read the card. Count it. Okay? Think of a time you had to arrive early. Where did this happen? When was it? What is the reason you needed to be early? What did you do during the waiting time? That took about 10 seconds. I realized I have 1, 2, 3, 4 questions. Okay? So that took me 10 seconds. I just take 3 seconds to recognize, okay, this is an event. I practiced this at home. I know I need to talk about its time, the people that were there, the location, the reason for it, and the activities that happened there. Okay, that only takes 3 seconds in my mind. Great, I have lots of time. I have 47 seconds left. Okay? So I have 47 seconds left. There's no missing questions, Pachu. There's no hard rule on how many questions the card has. Okay, now, in the next 10 seconds, what should I do? Okay, so I'm using my first 23 to 25 seconds for this. What am I doing in my next 10 seconds? So I have these 2 critical elements down. Ferdovs, very good. Ferdovs Naviev says, determine some topics. Think of a few different topics. Visualize and think of a few different answers that are unique and easy to talk about. Again, I'm practicing this at home, so it should go fairly smoothly. In 10 seconds, I should be able to think of a few. So let's have some examples. What are events where we arrive early? Okay, what are some common events that come to mind where you're like, oh yeah, that's when I arrive early? Okay. Yes, Isak, you must answer all the questions, otherwise you'll be losing points. That's right, Dr. Mazin. Think about what 9 of 10 people would answer to this, right? So think of what most people may say. All right, so where? So somebody says, arriving early to a marriage celebration. All right, sure, we'll take that. All right. Kawaljit says traveling. That was a very good one. Ferdov says to the airport, even more specific. Airport. Yeah. Okay, arrive early for a flight, Renew says. Arriving early to a birthday, perhaps. I think maybe more on time for a birthday. Any other? Symposium, Esther. Cyril, okay, that's kind of a fancy one. Symposium, sure. Why not? Just make sure you can talk about it. Oh, Chintan says concert. I still don't see a very common one that we all arrive early to. And there's another really easy one here, ladies and gents. I still don't see it among all those. Concerts is okay, but that's not the one I'm thinking. So a concert, sure. A cricket match, a sports game, an exam, potentially. Airport Turkan we had, that's a good one. All right, sports match is not a bad one. Always be specific, students. If you're going to go sports match, go for something specific, like a couple of you said cricket or football. Sure. Okay. There we go. Dark Mewtwo. Very good. Hung, very good. There's a couple of, there we go. Now you're going with the clear, easy one. Movie. Okay, sure. So we have lots. Beautiful. Very good job, students. So we have marriage, airport, birthday, symposium, concert, exam, football, and a movie. To the movie theater, of course, with that one, to be very clear. Now, you have to decide, this is happening all in 10 seconds, you have to decide what is your choice. So which one of these are you going to choose? Which one is the best? When you make your choice, students, do keep in mind the questions. Okay? So here are the original 4 questions, and when you make the choice, okay, pay special attention to question 3 and question 4. Okay, what is the reason you needed to be early, and what did you do during the waiting time? Pay really careful attention to those last 2 questions when you're making your choice so that you can speak fluently and clearly for your answer. Okay, I haven't emphasized that to you yet, but I'm emphasizing that to you now in this class. So pay careful attention to the last 2 questions, especially the last one on the card when you choose what to talk about. So keeping in mind those last 2 questions, students, what do you think from these choices, marriage, airport, birthday, symposium, concert, exam, football, movie theater, which one do you think are the top choices? Chungmin Yun says airport's probably a good one. Kyber says airport's a good one. Ferdovs seems to like the airport. Sue definitely enjoys the airport. Prajul says movie theater's not a bad choice. Hung says movie theater's a pretty good choice as well. Yeah, students, I agree with you. See, that's how I know that we're all on the same page. Kawaljit says maybe an exam is a good one. Exam is not bad either. I would probably go like this. So it depends on your vocabulary, but I would probably go 1, 2, 3. Again, with exam, you go with something specific like the IELTS exam if you're going to choose that one. I think the problem with the exam is that I think a lot of students might choose it. Okay, you definitely want to be unique. Okay, airport might be one that a lot of students would miss thinking about. Why do I say airport is a good top pick, even better than movie theater? Why do you think? Turkan says because we have to check in for the flight. Yep. Sure. So here I have another 35 seconds. Let's say 30 seconds. Okay. To take some notes. So I have 30 seconds remaining in my 1-minute preparation time. And this will be my note-taking time. Okay, so I have a couple students that said, well, for the airport, we'll choose the airport, okay, for today's class. And then you can try theater on your own at home. Okay, so we'll go with airport. You'll see why in a second. You'll see why that's a top choice, okay? So check in at the airline, right? What else do I want to do? So we're checking in for the flight. Okay. Okay, what else am I doing? What else? What else? Thank you, Nima Tula. Okay, there are many points for going to the airport. Yeah, so satisfying times, definitely lots to talk about. So passport control, baggage check-in, there we go. Now I got some coming up. Passport control. And I think a lot of you know these words because you use them in English. Raiden says, check out the pretty girls at the airport. Sure thing, Raiden, just don't miss your flight. That would be quite embarrassing. Okay, checking in the luggage. All right, what else? Boarding, yeah. I think we've got a lot more there. There's immigration as well, of course. Sure, so this is what you're writing down in your 30 seconds. Thank you, very good. Time to quit says the duty-free shops. Okay, what else might you do? Maybe some of you, because there's a lot of answers coming up, but I haven't maybe seen this one yet. Nima Atula, careful with transfer. Don't overdo it. All right. There we go. Dark Mewtwo. Some beautiful answers, Dark Mewtwo. It's like you're reading my mind. Is have some food. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I'm not a big fan of airplane food, and I try to grab something a little bit better at the airport before I get on the flight. Nam Tring Hoi, sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name right, says saying goodbye, which is also saying farewell. Yeah, we like to give our hugs and kisses, or your bows, or your namaste, whatever your custom may be, and saying goodbye to your loved ones. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay? So those are all good reasons. And another reason, finally, I see a student coming out with this, is Lakhu Mudhavaidia says, because it's required. Okay? And I love Nima Atula saying because we might cry a little bit too when we say goodbye. That's true. So here we go. It is required to be 2 hours early for international flights. Yeah, sure. It's a requirement. Okay. All right, so in 30 seconds, if I don't get all of these, it's okay. As long as I get at least some of them, as long as I get 60% of these, I'm fine, okay? Now, make sure to number these. So if you have a little bit more time, if you're really a quick thinker on your feet and you get these down in 20 seconds, you might want to say, okay, well, first of all, it's required. Second of all, I want to say goodbye to my loved ones. Next, I want to check in for my flight. While I do that, I want to put my luggage in. Then I need to get my boarding pass, which I use at passport control. Perhaps I need to go through immigration and security. Once I'm through those places, I can get at the duty-free shops. And maybe before I do that, I'll switch with this here. So this will be number 7. I'll get some food. So food first. And then if I have a little bit more time, I can check out some things in the duty-free shop. Now, this is obviously something that already happened, so I might have to make this up. But this is very good to do, your numbering. You want to have clear structure in your 2 minutes speaking. You will get a higher band score. It will be more coherent. So take a moment out of your 30 seconds and number. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, I got 5 twice there, I guess. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Does that make sense, students? So is that clear what I did there, my 30-second note-taking time? And I might not, have all this text. If I want to cut down a bit on time, I can just say international flights, 2 hours. Okay, so I can simplify my notes, practice that at home. Okay. All right, so I've used 55 seconds of my 1 minute preparation time. What do I do with my last 5 seconds? I've used 55 seconds to get this far. I've got 5 seconds left before hearing those frightful words from the examiner. Your 1 minute preparation time is up. Please begin speaking. So before I do that, Ravinder says reread. No, Ravinder. You want to do what Firdavs and Zainab is saying. You want to have your first sentence ready. Okay? So last 5 seconds. Get your first sentence ready to go. So 5 seconds. Get your first sentence ready to go. Okay? Now, keep in mind your topic here. Think of a time when you had to arrive early. This is a had to, so it's an event that happened. Even if it didn't, you have to make it up. Okay? All right? Then take a deep breath, Kisan, and then get going. Okay? So, what's your first sentence? So think of a time. Give me a time when you had to arrive early. Okay? So, a situation where I clearly or distinctly let's see. Who's coming up with what location? I bet we'll get some real nice variants of destinations here. I'll keep it simple. So a situation where I distinctly remember having to arrive early was last July when I flew to London and needed to be at the airport, check in for my flight 2 hours before boarding. Whew! Now that's a sentence. Students, only do a sentence like that if you are very competent in English and you're confident that you can do that. Okay? If you can't and you want to get a good band, simplify it. Okay? And just write, I had to arrive early last July to the airport. That's the simple version. Then you can explain about London and boarding pass. This is only if you're an advanced user of English. If you are not an advanced user of English, keep your first sentence this simple, clean and clear. No mistakes in your first sentence. You do not want to have a bad first impression with your English. So if you're going for a band 6.5 to 7, start with this. If you're going for a band 8 or higher, 8.59, you might want to start with some information like this. Okay? So again, let's practice these together. A situation where I distinctly remember having to arrive early was last July when I flew to London and needed to be at the airport to check in for my flight 2 hours before boarding. Okay? Or simpler, I had to arrive early last July to the airport. I needed to be there 2 hours early to check in for my flight. Students, full sentences, Istanbul and Paris are just locations. Out of context, they mean nothing more than beautiful cities to me. All right? Hung is asking, are life experiences important for good speaking in part 2? Sure, Hung. I mean, life experience is obviously a benefit for many different contexts in life. However, being creative and being a good critical thinker, Hung, is just as important as life experiences. Okay? Roshni says, I had to enter early to the airport because I did not want to miss boarding my flight. Mess on boarding and miss my flight. Okay, Roshni, that makes sense. Sure, that works. Okay. Lovepreet Singh, that's a good sentence. It was the month of September when I had to arrive to Dubai airport early. Okay, that would be better, Lovepreet. We'd never say, Lovepreet, in the month of September 15. So if we say in the month of, students, we don't give the day because then it's weird. So in the month of, just the month, no day. All right, Lovepreet? Okay, let's see what else other people have written for their first sentences. Here we go. Pachu says, I remember it was in February when I had to arrive early to the International Tribune Airport. Yeah, again, Pachu, in February. Or I remember it was on February 10th. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, with on it's okay. Pachu, sure. Okay, Hung says, a time where I remember having to arrive early was last month in July when I flew to Thailand 2 hours early to board. Okay, with a little bit of a pause there, Hung. Nima Tula says, once I had to be early was 3 months ago while I was going to Malaysia. That works, okay? Just watch your intonation, students, depending on what you say. Ferdovs says, I remember that I had to arrive early last month to the airport when I flew to Helsinki, and I needed to be there 2 hours before boarding. Just a couple of slight corrections for Dobbs. Otherwise, it's a nice expression. Satisfying Times says, an occasion where I had to arrive early was last February when I flew to Paris. It was obligatory that I arrive 2 hours before the scheduled flight. Esther Cyril says, I'm going to talk about a time I flew from South Africa to London where I needed to check in before leaving and arrive 2 hours early. Okay, good. Very good. Some really nice first sentences, students. Preeti says, a day I remember when I had to arrive early, almost 2 hours ahead of time, was last July when I flew New Delhi to Singapore. Preeti, that's great. Students, don't just listen to me read these, but read them and say them with me, okay? Amarjeet says, I vividly remember that time when I had to visit my friends and flew from Amritsar Airport to Singapore. Okay? Amarjeet, there's a couple of words in there that make it awkward. Check that out, okay? All right, so good. I have these sentences. Now I need to keep writing, okay? I'm going to keep my first one. Just remember, keep it simple if you're not sure, okay? So, a situation where I distinctly remember having to arrive early was last July when I flew to London and needed to be at the airport to check in for my flight 2 hours before boarding. What would be a good sentence to follow after this? So what would be a good next sentence? Okay, remember your notes. Okay, you should have your notes in mind, especially number 1 and 2. Okay, so there's my number 1 and 2. So I need to put that into sentences. It's required because it's an international flight, and saying goodbye or farewell to loved ones. Okay, so write some sentences for me, students. Of course, in the real exam and at home, when you're practicing this, you're saying these, not just writing them. But it is good practice at home to write down your sentences. Check for grammar, spelling mistakes, then say them. Okay? So saying your farewells, bidding your friends adieu. There's different ways to express this. All right? Not only did the 120 minutes give me, not only is it mandatory to be early for international flights, but also this gave me ample time to bid farewell to my wife and children for the 2 weeks that we would be apart. Okay. So that's what I'm going to say. So not only is it mandatory to be early for international flights, but also this gave me ample time to bid farewell to my wife and children for the 2 weeks that we would be apart. Okay. Vividly means clearly. Sorry, I can't read the Arabic name, but it means clearly. Vivid is a clear picture. Okay. Crystal clear. It's a very sharp image in your mind when you vividly remember a situation. Okay? All right. Let's see. Munib says, last month I went to the airport to drop off my parents and say goodbye. Munib, I think you maybe missed the card or the question. That would definitely be confusing to the examiner if you said that. Okay, you are the one leaving at the airport, not people that you're dropping off, because it's a time that you're having to wait. Okay. Manpreet Sidhu says there were several reasons behind reaching the airport 2 hours earlier. Firstly, I thought everybody has to pass through security checks, not checkups. Checkups are what doctors do, Manpreet. Those are security checks. Okay, don't use the word ups. That's a bit awkward. All right. Yes, Hung, you can use the word precisely instead of vividly. Vividly is better, Hung, than precisely when you're talking about pictures or images in your mind. Okay. All right. Susan Sabla. Again, maybe we have some new students joining in. The card is in the stream description. While we're waiting for some more answers, I'll let you see it. So think of a time when you had to arrive early. It needs to include where did this happen? When was it? What is the reason you needed to be early? What did you do during the waiting time? So here we're already answering this question, what we did during the waiting time, which is bidding farewell to our loved ones. Okay. So for Dobbs says it is required to be at the airport 2 hours earlier for international flights. Yeah. I'm not sure about the taxi booking. Preeti says it is mandatory for international flights to reach the airport 2 hours for security checks. It also gave me ample time to say goodbye to my husband and daughter. Very good, Preeti. So you're thinking very much along the same lines as I am. Okay. Isaac Hussein says, I arrived early because it was my first time going abroad and I didn't want to miss anything. Isaac, always try to think of a better word than anything. Okay. So for example, Isaac, you can say, I didn't want to miss any important details. Okay. Esther says, arriving early and saying farewell to my loved ones was one part of this memory I will never forget. That's right, Esther. Again, students, anything, anytime, thing, avoid those words, okay? Avoid those words. They have very little value in communication. Okay. So, I was flying from Liszt Ferenc Airport in Budapest to Heathrow in London to conduct a 2-week education seminar. Why did I put this sentence in here just now? So I decided, okay, I'm going to throw this sentence in here. Why did I do that? I was flying from Liszt Ferenc Airport in Budapest to Heathrow in London to conduct a 2-week education seminar at Cambridge University. Why did I just decide to stick that sentence in there out of the blue? Boom. I'm like, I think that's important. I'm going to put it in there. Okay. All right. Remember, students, it's not about your personal feelings. It's about making sure to answer the questions. Satisfying time says to win time and confidence. Rajdi says the reason. Yeah, absolutely. Rajdi, there's 2 points that I knocked off here. One is the reason that I'm doing this, right? So the reason for the event is 1. And don't forget to answer the questions on the card. If you miss a question, you lose band points, okay? So where did this happen? When was it? I answered the when was it, okay? I've started answering the what is the reason. I started answering this, but I didn't answer the where did this happen specifically. So I said that it was at the airport, but I didn't say which airport, okay? So details are important, Gunkai Ren, absolutely. And I really have to keep in mind the questions on that card. Students, in the 2-minute speaking time, it's a good idea to look at the card and look at your notes. Way too many students forget to do that. They miss a question or they don't answer it completely, and unfortunately, they lose a band score, okay? Satisfying times. Order is important, but here I can stick this in, okay? This makes sense. I can plug it in there because I'm apart from my children and my wife. So a listener might be thinking, why? Why is he at the airport? Why is he apart from his wife and children? And there comes my answer. Because I'm flying from this airport to this airport for a 2-week education seminar at Cambridge. So it does make sense, okay? Sumli, no, absolutely not. Okay, Sumli's asking a good question. Is it important to follow the order of the questions? No, definitely not. In fact, that could work against you. It could be really strange if you do that, all right? So you don't necessarily have to follow the order of the questions, but you do have to answer them, okay? So a perfect band 9 is a combination of answering the questions on the card, which are these here, and keeping in mind that events are best described as time, attendees, location, venue, purpose, and activities. Okay? So that's what you have to keep in mind, those 2 crucial elements to get those high band scores. Okay? All right. So now I can keep going. What should I talk about next? So I distinctly remember the time, last July when I flew to London. I needed to be at the airport 2 hours early before boarding. Not only is this mandatory for international flights, but also it gave me lots of time to bid farewell to my wife and children. For the 2 weeks that we were apart, I was flying from Liszt Ferenc Airport to Budapest Heathrow in London to conduct a 2-week seminar at Cambridge University. What's next? Turkan, the next live lesson will be Wednesday. Lessons are Wednesday to Saturday, okay? Ferdov says, how about checking and waiting time? Absolutely, Ferdovs. Yeah, you're right. So I want to talk about checking in. So checking in my luggage and getting my boarding pass, right? And then what I'm doing during that waiting time. So let's write that now, okay? So here you can combine the checking in the luggage, getting your boarding pass, going through security. So let's start to get all of these out. Okay, Tran Li Bao Nyuk, very good. Yeah, obviously those are the right steps. So let's do that together. Okay, go ahead, write some sentences, students. I'll look back at your sentences as well. Okay, so after a heart, I think it's maybe one word, wrenching. No, it's got to be two. With a hyphen, heart-wrenching goodbye. Heart-wrenching means like here's your heart, right? You got your heart, and wrench means to wrench the heart. It's painful to say goodbye to people you love. We say a heart-wrenching goodbye. After a heart-wrenching goodbye, I got my boarding pass from the flight desk and checked in my larger luggage. Then I proceeded through security, where I waited in a long line for about 20 minutes. Okay, give it detail. Give it quantitative information. Use numbers. Numbers are your friends, students. Numbers get you high band scores. Okay, notice how often I've used numbers already. So I've used numbers in the beginning. Okay, 2 hours before boarding. I use numbers here. We would be apart for 2 weeks. Okay, and then I use numbers again here, a 2-week educational seminar, and then I use numbers again, saying 20 minutes in the security line. Those all add value to your communication and clarity. Numbers are your friend. Use quantitative language to boost your band score in all parts of speaking. Okay. Finally, I got to the boarding area where I decided to eat a burger during the time I had left. As I'm not a big fan of airplane food. Okay, there we go. All right. Next, I proceeded to check out the duty-free shops, and I ended up buying a small doll for one of my London colleagues' daughter. Okay? So again, details, paint a picture, make that vivid picture of that memory, that event for the examiner. The better you can do that, the better your band score. All right, let's see what else you've put up there. So I see a couple of sentences. Students, I'm showing you a high-level example here, but I also encourage you to write your own, okay? Satisfying Time says, thankfully, I arrived early because stamping my passport really took a long time. The system was crushing and passed my belongings on the X-ray. I'm not sure what the end of that is, but it's okay. The first part of it anyway, Satisfying Times. Rushdie says, before boarding, I needed to pick up some goods for snacks in case I got hungry or thirsty on the plane. Rushdie, finish your sentence. On the plane. Okay, so I picked up some snacks, a chocolate bar, and a bottle of water. Okay, so again, Rushdie, be specific. I picked up a couple of chocolate bars, a bag of chips, and a bottle of water in case I got hungry or thirsty on the plane. Rushdie, say it with those details and you'll bounce up by a whole band score. Okay? All right. Let's see. What else do we have? Hung Liman. Then I hit the bar and grabbed a bite to eat as I hadn't had breakfast at home. Hung, really nice. You get my super thumbs up. Firstly, for being natural. Secondly, for using some nice advanced grammar. Hadn't had breakfast at home, okay? I grabbed a bite at the bar to eat. Very good, Hung. Those are the kinds of sentences that will get you those high band scores, all right? Pachu says, after departure from my loved ones, I waited in a queue for 20 minutes to check in my luggage and go through security. Okay, Pachu, notice the corrections to the second half of your sentence there. All right. So, what should I do at this point? So I've gotten this far. What do I do? What do I do now? So I'm talking. I'm using up my notes. I'm making sure to give detailed information. What do I do? The examiner hasn't stopped me yet. What do I do now? Have I run out of ideas? Time to quit says time to finish. Love it. Yeah, it's probably getting close to a finish, but before I finish time to quit, what do I do? Satisfying time says give some more details. Lovepreet says talk about getting some food and water. Hung says maybe wrap it up with a concluding sentence like that's a time when I had to arrive early. It is important to give details to get high band scores, absolutely. What do I do? Yeah, there we go. Vanity, Sean. Awesome. I love how you jumped in there late in the game with the right answer. Check the cue card. Did I answer all the questions? That's what you should be asking yourself at this point. So think of a time you had to arrive early. Where did this happen? When was it? What is the reason you needed to be early? What did you do during the waiting time? Did I answer all of these questions? Have I answered all of these? Yeah, I think I have. So time to wrap up. So this is one memorable time when I had to arrive quite early. Okay? And it's roughly going to be 2 minutes, so the examiner will stop you. Okay? So I answered the questions. Yes, I'm feeling confident. I can wrap it up. All right, students, one more time. Let's go through it together. A situation where I distinctly, repeat after me. I'll start one more time. A situation where I distinctly remember having to arrive early was last July when I flew to London and needed to be at the airport to check in for my flight 2 hours before boarding. Not only is it mandatory to be early for international flights, but also this gave me ample time to bid farewell to my wife and children for the 2 weeks that we would be apart. I was flying from Liszt Ferenc Airport in Budapest to Heathrow in London to conduct a 2-week education seminar at Cambridge University. After a heart-wrenching goodbye, I got my boarding pass from the flight desk and checked in my larger luggage. Then I proceeded through security, where I waited in a long line for about 20 minutes. Finally, I got to the boarding area, where I decided to eat a burger during the time I had left, as I'm not a big fan of airplane food. Next, I proceeded to check out the duty-free shops, and I ended up buying a small doll for one of my London colleagues' daughters. So this is a memorable time when I had to arrive quite early in recent. Okay, that's it, students. That would be your high band part 2 response for that. Remember the steps to get there, okay? Your 1 minute preparation time is extremely valuable. Practice using it wisely at home, okay? Satisfying Times is asking a good question. Satisfying Times says, can we talk slowly to win time? Satisfying Times, speak natural, so speak at a natural speed. If you need to speak slower to have clear sentences with clear, clean, good grammar, then yes, slow yourself down a little bit, okay? It's better to speak slower, clearly, and accurately than speaking quickly with lots of mistakes. One more time, students. It's better to speak slowly, clearly, and accurately than really, really fast with lots of mistakes. Keep that in mind, okay? Fluency and speed are not the same idea. Students, that's it for me for today, for this class. Amazing participation. Give yourself an applause. I know it's very challenging to do this in another language, so good for you. Hang in there. English will be much more for you than just an IELTS band score. It will also mean opening doors for success and happiness in life to a global world that uses English. Much love to all of you. Keep up the good studies. Remember, join us for world-class strategies and to help you improve communication. aehelp.com for the academic version of the exam. gieltshelp.com for the general version. Spend a couple dollars, enhance your thinking, enhance your English, save yourself stress, time, and money. Bye for now, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of the weekend. Much love to all of you.